What we're going to do today is we're going to get into our top bass heavy demos that we use to impress our friends and family in our home theaters. We're not going to be talking about how good or bad the movie is itself, but just if there's a lot of bass. These are in really no numerical order unless you put them in order. Mine is not in any order at all, but we'll start off and then we'll just take turns. We'll just go around the table here.
There's kind of categories, you know. If you want to be strategic and show a quick scene and get something like that, I would probably go, um, yeah, either Pearl Harbor, the scene where that boat where the shell comes through the deck in Pearl Harbor, or Master Commander when the two boats pass by and blast each other. I've had some pretty gnarly experiences with subs on that scene, so I would probably have to pick Master and Commander for my first one.
You're going old school. I believe that's a DTS 5.1 mix, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, there's that one scene at the beginning where I don't know if it's Russell Crowe or not. I haven't seen it in like 10 years. Where somebody's walking on the top deck. I don't know if it still carries over now, but you can kind of hear the footsteps above your head. I know we're talking about bass, but that's kind of what I really remember.
Oh
And of
man,
course, the cannon fire and all that.
oh man, the first time that I experienced that, man, I had a. This was the first time I've actually felt wind from the ports, like literally blowing on your skin. It was just absolutely wild.
My first pick is going to be Dune. I have a very vivid memory of a scene. It's pretty early on in the movie. I don't remember the time mark, but it's when they're on the kind of green planet at night and they got the ship that's taking off. But the first time I saw that was in the RBH reference theater here, and the infrasonics in that scene are just outstanding. It like felt my pant legs move, and it was like that's some serious low end bass. Yeah.
There's the beginning part where he's like uses the voice for the first time, and it's like that's just like all infrasonic there. But I have one that I don't know, maybe might make some people unhappy because it's not a 4K Blu-ray or a Kaleidoscape movie. Is going to be Ryan Reynolds in The Adam Project. This, if you're a Netflix subscriber, it's readily available. You can watch it. It starts off where he's in the spaceship. He's getting chased by another bad guy. I forgot what song is playing, but there's just a ton of bass in this movie. The grand finale has like this big whirlwind of stuff floating around the air, just a huge, massive amounts of rumble in the room. It's for a streaming movie in Atmos. It's one of the best ones out there. There is a review on the channel if you've missed it, so definitely check that out. But that is going to be my number 5, or first one, rather. And that's on Netflix, The Adam Project. What's your next one, Jason?
Got to go with Pacific Rim and opening of that movie, all the way to where that thing kaiju walks through the bridge, and it just kind of like settles out for a second, and then just every fight scene in there is just like
Yeah.
just heavy, strong, you know.
So I'm going to go with, speaking of needing to turn the bass down, I'm going to go with Tron Legacy. The first time I ever experienced that movie when I was a kid back then. Yeah, we put that on just normal reference levels, and the bass was just hitting so hard that I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to turn that down, and I ended up going down 12 dB just to balance it out with what we were used to. It was pretty heavy. Just all of the music score in that, it's just a phenomenal track. And there's quite a bit of infrasonic energy that I've discovered recently, since I've gotten into infrasonic subs, and just
Yeah.
something that I missed back in the day. But it's like everything, even from the part in the beginning when he's running away from the cops and just jumps over the cop car, just it was really cool.
Yeah, usually if even like, I think like last week I even put it on too. Like sometimes I'll review a movie and I'm just like, I'm not sure if this movie actually has bass or not, even though I know I have everything level matched. I'm like, are my fourth and fifth pair of subs turned on? Let me just throw back in Edge or Tron Legacy to make sure that it sounds like how it's supposed to sound. And it's always I think around the 42-minute mark where you get that bass drop when he jumps in the air and the cycle opens up. Just that bass drop is just like boom, 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 and they just
Right.
fucking race away. That's just every time I drop that in, I don't know, a couple times a month still. And that is a DTS 5.1 mix, I believe, before Ares comes out, which is the new one, which sounds like it's going to have a rockin' soundtrack by Nine Inch Nails. I believe they're coming out with a 4K with an Atmos mix on the remaster. My next one is going to be Underwater, starring Kristen Stewart. This is like aliens underwater, and everything in this movie just sounds, even in 7.1, it sounds awesome, especially if you upmix it. Just little creaks and sounds like that, the water droplets and stuff like that. But there's this great little bass drop towards the start of the movie where she sees a little droplet of water coming above her head, and just the implosion, I guess, where the walls just blow inside of the facility. Huge bass drop there. And then towards the end of that scene, there's another just infrasonic, it just billows up from the ground while the underwater station blows up, which is a great sounding scene, which I've used many times in my subwoofer reviews. And just throughout the movie, there's just a low hum that occurs anytime they're inside of one of the underwater facilities. So check that out. It's on Blu-ray. If you are anywhere outside of the US, you can stream it on Disney Plus, I believe, and listen to it in Atmos, which is unavailable in the US.
I'm gonna go Interstellar. No, Interstellar's pretty sweet. I mean, anytime he's around the black hole, I mean, especially the end scene where he's going into the black hole is just,
Yeah.
it's like holy shit. This is one of those times where you gotta, like Kenny said, you gotta turn it down a little bit. And I mean, I've got a pretty nice 2-channel system, so I'll go back and listen to the soundtrack on that, and then even the soundtrack's got pretty heavy stuff too, and the cornfield chase, and so there's the effects, and there's also just a real heavy soundtrack on that.
Yeah.
Too.
There's actually 20 hertz bass in the center channel if your center channel can handle it. Like if you're running it full range, if you want to test out the center,
Wow.
which I will be doing on the A21s.
I'm actually going to go with Godzilla -1. I just think they just did a hell of a job with the soundtrack in that movie. Everything from the Atmos mix to the thunderous bass, even the shocking mid bass in his roar, it's pretty awesome. Especially the opening scene with on the island, and every footstep is just like it hits hard and heavy.
Yeah, the atomic breath scene was pretty badass. I'm gonna go with Tenet. Tenet is just from the get-go, from the opera house scene, just massive amounts of bass. I mean, if you don't have subwoofers, you must have subwoofers. This is just gonna blow your subs out of the water from the start. Just during any big action scene in this movie, it's just insane. It's a DTS 5.1, but just as with any movie after Inception, any Christopher Nolan score just absolutely destroys for the bass department.
I'm gonna go War of the Worlds.
You'll
Pretty
go
much
to-
nonstop. I mean, the lightning starts off early. I think there's, it doesn't get real heavy immediately, and then all of a sudden it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and then it's just action first 20-30 minutes of the movie, and you're just like, it's just nonstop.
Yeah, I know I've said it in the past, but I blew out my first SVS cylinder subwoofers on the lightning strike scene
That
because
beginning
it was one of those.
part,
Yeah,
yeah,
where he runs under the chairs with his daughter. Well,
Yeah,
before he does that.
that's the part.
I remember turning that up and turning it up. I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. I was just like, oh, these are SVS subs. These are like the best subs you can get. I was like, brr, pop. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh no.
What do you got next, Kenny?
I'm going to go with The Incredible Hulk from 2008. More specifically, the Sonic cannons scene. That one always hits hard and low. If you can't tell, I've got a theme going on. I love infrasonics. Anything below 20 hertz where just you feel it rather than hear it, it's a good time.
This is another one that I don't think a lot of people saw. It's Monster Hunter, starring Mila Jovovich. When the kaijus are running through the desert, absolutely incredible sounding. Another one of those movies that I always got to throw in all the time just to double check my subwoofers are working. When he flips over the car or the footsteps stomping through the desert, killer mix. You guys got to watch it. I know some of you guys probably haven't seen it because I think it's kind of like a B-level movie, but it's just a great sounding mix. And it's also available in 3D.
Last, I'm going with Edge of Tomorrow. Same kind of theme as War of the Worlds for me. It's a lot of action, pretty pretty heavy bass the whole time, and to Kenny's point, apparently they've got some pretty good infrasonics in the
Yeah.
very opening scene as well.
All right, my last one is going to be Greatest Showman, particularly the intro. Obviously, when the crowd's stomping on the bleachers, it's always a good time. You get a lot of tactile information, but that song in the beginning has also got a ton of low frequencies that can get lost on subs that can't play below 20. There's a like it'll just completely die, and there's this empty spot. It's like I know there's content down there because I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
So and it just I think it's 10 hertz or so. I haven't done an analysis, but it shakes.
All right, my last one, not necessarily my number one, is another Godzilla movie. This is King of the Monsters. It opens up with some really deep, low frequency effects and the footsteps as he's walking through the city, destroying everything, and the parents are crying about their missing son. I mean, it just sets you up for how killer the audio mix and the bass drops are in this movie from start to finish, especially the grand finale towards the end. Another Godzilla, just as you would expect for a kaiju movie. Giant footsteps, giant bass, a must have if you have capable subwoofers, as is any of these movies on this list. That's our list of the top 5 bass heavy movies on disc, on digital, or on the Kaleidoscape. The question is for you guys, what is on your top 5 list that you demo your home theaters with that has a ton of bass? Leave your comments down below and let us know.